Hey guys, welcome back to Dixie Belle's YouTube channel. It's Lauren here, the furniture flipping teacher, and today I'm going to be flipping this mid-century looking dresser that I got on Facebook Marketplace for $50. So this is going to be another great video. It's actually going to be prepped here at my house, and then we are going to an event tomorrow, so we're going to finish all of the painting and such tomorrow. So stay tuned and see the finished piece, but we're gonna get started by taking the hardware off. This hardware is really neat, I think, so I'm definitely gonna be keeping that. We're just gonna be cleaning it up a little bit and then putting it right back on. These screws, they're so old, they're getting stripped. Just gotta do it with a flathead. All right, hardware's out. Let's clean. Today I'm gonna be using Dixie Belle's White Lightning. I just put a little bit in here with some water, mixed it around. That way I am saving my cleaner. And let's just go ahead and spray this down. Of course, we clean so that our paint adheres to the surface, but then also just to get everything and the dirt and grime off, because we don't want our new customer having someone else's filth. This one doesn't seem to be too dirty from the looks of it, so that's a good sign, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to clean. We're still gonna do all of the things to prep. When I'm cleaning, I always make sure to kind of do a once over, because you can just notice some spots where we're definitely gonna have to fill just to make it flush, because that veneer has chipped off. And that's no big deal as long as you notice that, and that way it's easily fixed. But now that we're all clean here, we're gonna go ahead and sand it down, because we've got a pretty glossy surface and the veneer has a little bit of texture to it that I don't really want in the finished product. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick sand to smooth everything out. All right, for sandpaper, I've got a 220 grit because I wanna get these little scratches out, but really my goal is just to smooth out any little roughness that I have here. And then obviously it's also to help get that paint to adhere. And I'm using my Surf Prep sander, which I just love it, and it just makes its sanding job go so much faster. Sanding is finished, and if you're wondering why I was sanding a random piece of wood, well, the guy that I got this from actually had cut this for me because he saw that this down here was missing, and so that piece of wood is just going to go right up against there like new. Perfect. We're going to go ahead and screw this on. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay it down on its back and get this attached. Thank you, Ken. When we were moving the drawers, one of the pieces the rails on the bottom here broke off, well, just kind of snapped off, and so I'm just gonna go ahead and reattach that real fast right here. Glue that guy back on. Looks like it's actually been glued on before. Just some wood glue. It's dark, we're loading up for the show. But I just want to finish these few little prep pieces that I can't really do at the show tomorrow. So I'm gonna need to put some heavy things in this drawer. The classic water bottles. I'm gonna just drill some pilot holes in the wood so that I don't go and split anything. And then I'm also gonna apply some wood glue just to kind of reinforce it a little bit. I'm gonna just kind of choose the best side here. I think it's this side. And then put that right on up against the bottom. And it's okay that there's a little spot here that's not getting covered by the wood. I'll just paint it the correct color and we'll call it good. It's okay that this is not covered by the wood because I'll just paint that and then it'll be just kind of like the base. No big deal there. Same on this side. And we're gonna go ahead and make some pilot holes. Now that we've got that on, I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of cover these little indentions where the screws are with some Dixie mud. That is going to dry overnight. This is my last step tonight. That's gonna dry, and then in the morning when we get to the show and I'm ready to finish the prep, I'm just gonna sand it all down and then we'll get to painting. All right, we're back with this dresser, and the last time I left you, I had just glued and screwed on that bottom piece on the bottom that was missing. Well, I had full intentions to do at least some of this at the event that I had went to. If you guys saw last week's video of that blue French provincial dresser, you know that I just didn't really have a lot of time at the event to get any work done on the dressers like I had hoped. And it was totally fine, but be sure to go check out that video. This dresser is ready to be sanded down on all the spots where I had put that Dixie mud, and then honestly, we're ready to paint. So let's get going. I am just gonna be taking a sanding block, and it's just a fine grit. I'm just gonna be smoothing out that Dixie Belle mud, and then we'll get to painting. So you just got these corners and stuff where the veneer was chipping a bit that I added some Dixie mud to. So all it takes is a little bit of sanding and that'll be all smoothed out.
Music licensing reimagined.
There's also a few spots here on the dresser that I'm gonna sand down. All right, that should do it. Now we're just gonna grab my microfiber cloth here and wipe all of the dust back so that we are ready to paint. You just don't want any of that dust around when you're painting because it's gonna get under your paint and then you're gonna get dirty paint, and that's not a good look to have chunks and dirt in your paint. Let's paint. I am gonna be using Dixie Belle's Silk All-in-One paint, and it is the one that I don't have to prime, I don't have to top coat, so sorry about the sawing next door. Anyway, this is the color I'm gonna be using, Nautical. I haven't used it yet, but I'm excited because it just really looks like a nice navy color. And I'm excited because I restored the hardware back to its original finish using both White Lightning and Barkeeper's Friend. And that's actually one of the only things that I did get accomplished yesterday at the event. But this is what I'm gonna use, and I'm gonna be also using the mini brush from Dixie Belle as well. But we're gonna go ahead and pop this open and give it a nice mix, because when it sits for a while, paint tends to get settle at the bottom, and so we just need to mix around all of the pigments and all of the products of the paint so that it is the consistency that it's supposed to be, and that so it does its job right. There you go. And I actually haven't used the mini brush with silk paint yet. I'm just a huge fan of the Scarlet brush and how it puts the silk paint on, but I have the Scarlet brush and it's being used with another color right now, so I am just gonna go ahead and give it a try with the mini, using it with this, and to see if we still get the smoothing factor of the paint even without that Scarlet. Oh my gosh, that blue. Again, with Dixie Belle's paint, the silk, you don't want to go over it and over it so many times. You know, just a back and forth swipe a few times is enough. You do not want to overwork the paint, because then it will definitely not do its job right. It won't smooth out right, and so on. But wow, that color is awesome. Definitely gonna need 2 coats, maybe even 3. We'll have to kind of wait and see. Another thing with the silk paint is that you do not need to water it down. It's just the qualities of the paint, and in order for it to be self-leveling, that water will actually not allow it to do its job, so we don't need to thin it out as we would the regular chalk paint. Just keep that in mind, because again, if you do that, that's not going to allow the paint to do its job. So I finished with coat number 1 last night, and then now we're ready for coat number 2. I'm just gonna do a quick light sanding to smooth everything out, and then wipe it back with a microfiber cloth, and we'll be good to go on coat number 2. All right, we're just gonna give a quick little shake and get ready for coat number 2. Again, I always love to put my brush in a bag, and that just keeps it nice and moist so that it doesn't dry out and then I have to clean it and all of that. So that's why I keep it in a plastic baggie, and then it's just ready to grab out and paint with. Okie dokie. That second coat is on there, and it looks to me like that's all we're gonna need for this to get full coverage. So I like to kind of show you guys how much paint I used. So this silk paint is a 16-ounce container, $25 on Dixie Belle's website, and I just used half of it. So 8 ounces for an entire dresser with 4 drawers. So, you know, this paint goes a long way. A lot of people talk about, you know, why do I need this specific paint and things like that. Well, if you get the right kind of paint, it's gonna last a long time. And, you know, this paint goes a long way. It might seem like a bigger buy-in, but, you know, $25 for this. So, you know, half of that, $12, $12.50 to paint an entire dresser. So boom, there it is. We're gonna attach the hardware here in just a little bit once the second coat is dry, and then we'll be ready for staging and photos. Everything is dry and we are ready to put in some drawers and attach the hardware. With the hardware, I ended up cleaning it up and kind of giving just a fresh coat of gold. So that's that, and I'm ready to put the drawers in. I always like to just keep the screws and the hardware all in one spot, especially if I'm gonna be reusing it. That way I don't lose it, because I definitely would, especially when I've got more than one project going at a time. I really think that this hardware is going to make this dresser pop. The gold is just beautiful. So it cleaned up really well, except there were just 2 pieces that were having a hard time. So I ended up having to go ahead and put a coat of paint on it, the gold paint. Okay, I'm just gonna wipe it down, get all that dust off from just being in the garage. There's just a couple of places where I'm seeing that need some touch-ups. So I'm gonna grab my brush. And actually I kept it in this bag again. So I've still got some on here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and brush it on. Sometimes just like laying them flat out gives you a different look, but when it's actually on in the light, I can see that there's just a couple of spots that I missed or just got kind of looked over, things like that. But mostly, I think it looks great. Okay, touch-ups are finished, and now it's time to get to staging. All right. Oh. Dang it. Okay, we're ready to stage. So this dresser has some pretty mid-century vibes going on here. So we're just gonna kind of stage it mid-century. And so we wanna kind of help those gold accents pop and things like that. You might notice in several of my videos and several of the furniture pieces that I stage, I use the same props for staging, and there's no harm in that, because you know, the same people aren't seeing these over and over, and even if they are, you don't have to spend an arm and a leg for the staging props that you use. And then I'm just gonna put a little greenery down here beside. I think we'll do it on this side. And that's just, you know, greenery just is really appealing to the eye, so that helps the coloring balance out a little bit. It is ready for photos, okay? And here we go. You know, just getting specific photos of the hardware and accentuating that is important. And then just the lines, all the angles, things like that. And that way, in those 10 pictures that you're allowed on Facebook Marketplace to post, they can see every single angle of the piece. And when they're not surprised, It helps us get repeat customers, it helps them spread word of mouth and things like that. Okay, and then for Facebook Marketplace posting, you always want to grab those measurements, which I'll do here in just a minute. And then for listing price, you know, it just really depends on your area. And I have found a pretty decent price, I think. So I'm gonna list this guy at $225, and I bought it for $50, so that'll give me a pretty good profit there. Minimal buy-in for the materials. You know, Dixie Belle's silk paint is about $25 for the entire can, and like I showed you, I used right around half of it. So take half of that cost, so about $12.50, and boom, I reused the hardware. I didn't use primer because it's built in, and so on and so forth. So that'll give me a pretty decent profit. I'm gonna go ahead and get this posted on Facebook Marketplace, and I'll let you know what happened. Well, we got this guy listed on Facebook Marketplace, but not very many hits yet. It is a beautiful dresser, so I know somebody will snatch it up here soon. I actually just got around to listing it today, so hopefully the more people that see it, the more people that want it. And I just love this blue. I love how easy this silk paint is from Dixie Belle. It is all in one, which makes it just such a much more seamless and faster process. Now, don't get me wrong, you still have to do the prep, like sanding and putting on that Dixie mud and making sure everything is smoothed out. But overall, this silk paint cuts down your time massively. So definitely head over to Dixie Belle. There are links down below in the description to the products that I used. This is nautical, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So be sure to get subscribed down on Dixie Belle's channel. We will be here every Friday for FFT Fridays. But also, if you're interested in following along on my journey of flipping furniture, I would love it if you went over to my channel, Furniture Flipping Teacher, and also subscribed over there. Thanks guys again for watching, and I'll see you on the flip side.